Hi, everyone. Can we hear? Okay, we seem to have lost Ghana. Oh, he's there.
Okay.
Yeah. Up next, we have the panel of discussion of the day. A shift from Asian call center towards chatbots and voice AI. Sorry, AI?
Voice.
Yeah, voice AI. Your moderator for the session is Mr. Chris Mackintosh, who is the Chief Operating Officer at CCO Global. Your panelists are Mr. Ganapati Subramaniam, a Global CIO at Everrise Philippines, Mr. James Meshbur, Senior Manager of Conversational AI Session at Rakuten, Mr. Romal Reginio, Global Head Operation and Sales at Inspiro Philippines, Mr. Kunwu, COO at AI Rules. The session is created by our silver partner AI Ruders. AI Ruder provides language and voice AI solutions for the call centers in financial, e-commerces, travel, transportation, healthcare, and other industries. Our leading technology in speech recognition and language understanding enables them to effectively optimize calling procedures with minimal integration, overhead, and much more lower cost. Gentlemen, stage is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Hi, good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. I think it's an interesting panel. I've been having some discussions backstage with the panel, and I think you're going to find this a very, very interesting topic. It's certainly one that's been talked about very much in the last couple of years across the globe. And everybody has their own views. So how we're going to take the session forward is that in a moment, each of the panel will give a minute really on themselves and their kind of interest in this particular topic, which is effectively the shift from more human voice and human non-voice towards chatbots and voice AI. And then we're going to look at the agenda of questions that we have, and we're going to talk and debate around everybody's viewpoint. And now, if anybody wants to raise any questions, I will stop the panel at any point to put anybody's questions towards the panel for their consideration. So let me start by saying that I'm Chris Mackintosh. I'm currently talking to you from Nairobi, Kenya. I normally live in the Philippines, but I do a lot of travel pre-COVID across the globe, running around 3,000 seats of voice and non-voice across the globe. And as I say, joining the panel, we'll start with Mr. Ganapathy Subramanian. If you can kind of tell us what you're calling us from today, and I apologise for the pronunciation of your name. If you can just give us a quick insight to you. You're on mute, sir.
Hey, sorry. So thanks, Chris. I think yeah, you can call me Gana, so that's going to be easier.
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you. So yeah. So I'm actually, just to introduce, I think I'm the CIO of Everrise. So at Everrise, we provide a collection of customer product and digital experience solutions to various industry verticals like healthcare, technology, media, travel, and many other industry verticals. So I've been at in the BPO industry for the last 20 years, handling IT through the evolution of this digital era. So would be interested in, I think, looking at how I think things evolve, over the next few years in terms of, I think, how I think AI, chatbots, and RP are going to deliver improved customer experience, and particularly the area around hyper personalization. So that's, I think, briefly about me and my interest
Thank
and
you.
about Everise. Thank you.
No, thank you. We now come to a gentleman that I had the great opportunity to talk to a few days ago. A guy with a lot of experience actually in the field that we're talking about today, and a guy with a lot of information and output. So let's come to Mr. James Mesber, please.
Thank you so much, Chris. That's very kind of you. I'm James Mesber, Senior Manager of Conversational AI at Rakuten, and a bit unusual on this panel because Rakuten is not a vendor yet of conversational AI solutions, but rather we provide in-house solutions. I actually have several team members joining this panel as well as in the audience. So hi, everybody. And I'm very grateful to Voice Tech Summit Asia and the sponsors for this opportunity. At Rakuten, our voice vision includes bringing together data from across all our businesses. We have over 75 lines of business to provide personalized, engaging, and useful conversational AI products. And in the call center specifically, we're working on a pipeline from data to conversational AI. And how do we do that? Well, first step is to record, transcribe, and analyze 100% of your human calls, then find opportunities to optimize call center operations, improve knowledge, etc. And then finally, with that data, we can then build natural language enabled IVRs, chatbots, and other products. So it's very nice to meet everybody. I'm looking forward to this discussion.
Fantastic. And can I say at this point, if the audience has any questions that they want to raise to the panel, please start typing now, and I'll be bringing them up. Thank you very much indeed. Right, let's move on to the next panelist, which is Mr. Rommel Regino, who's sitting in my home country at the moment, in the Philippines.
Thank you, Chris, for the warm introduction. So I'm very honored to be part of this panel, and as mentioned by Chris, I am based out of the Philippines, and I am in charge of the growth of my organization, Inspiro. We are, simply put, the BPO specialist here. We are present in major geographies around the world. We have about close to 15,000 strong employees, and hopefully I get to be able to contribute and share our journey, of course, towards having what we call a digitally assisted customer experience.
Okay, superb. Thanks, Rommel. We have a couple of questions coming in already. But before we do that, let's just move to the final panelist, Mr. Kun Wu.
Thanks, Chris, and thanks, everybody. It's a really honor to join this discussion. And let me just briefly introduce myself. My name is Kun Wu, and I'm the co-founder of AirRudder, based in Singapore. And we are a voice and language AI tech company providing B2B SaaS voice bots for customer engagement. And the major use cases include debt collection for financial institutions, and also leads qualification for sales teams of all industries, and many more other use cases, as long as you can, talk to your customers in some way. And we support all the major languages in APAC, especially in Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, and India. So it's a very good opportunity to share our minds and discussions using this opportunity. Thank you.
Great. Okay, so we've had a couple of questions come through, so let's hit them one by one. The first is asked by Mr. Srikanth Konjetti. Okay, and Mr. Srikanth's question is to the panel: is there any comprehensive open source toolbox for pre-processing of speech recognition? Anybody want to start me off with this one?
I'd be happy to, Kun, unless you were about to speak. You can go ahead.
Yeah, please, James. Yeah, I can say something first. Maybe James can add more. So there are a lot of such things actually. For example, Kaldi being one very famous one. But I think the most important thing here is not about the open source tools, because like I said, they're readily available, but about the big data using to train your model. If you have very good data, label data for training speech recognition model, then you will have a very good thing coming out of such open source tools. Otherwise, no matter how fancy your tools look like, then you will not have something useful in the end.
Yeah, I was actually literally going to say the exact same thing in the exact same order, starting with Kaldi and then talking about data. I will add just one point, that there's lots of third-party speech recognition vendors. Like, you can use Google, you can use Amazon or whatever. But if you're building your own and you have good data, you will always outperform those if your data is domain specific. You can have a mediocre engine, but with great data, you'll outperform a good engine with, no data. So it's more about the data than about what tools you're using.
Superb, thanks. Thank you both. Okay, let's come to our second question. This is asked by Mr. Mark Wesley. What do you think the biggest barriers are for today's chatbots and voice AI applications to overcome that will enable the shift from call centers? What a great question. Any views? Thank you. Thanks, Gunnar.
Yep, I think it's the need for us to, I think, go for a greater personalization. I think would be a greater challenge. I think, for example, AI can probably play a humanizing role in the ongoing digitalization of some of the touch points that exists between the organizations and the customers. So I think probably advanced speech to text or text to speech or speech to meaning technology typically, I think, integrates your highly developed speech recognition and NLU or NLP technologies, which I think should allow the call center systems to make decisions, even as the customers speak, or probably come up with the next best action. Integrating highly developed speech recognition engine and probably the accuracy of NLU and NLP actually have been some of the challenges that we can list on here.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, Chris, let me just add to what Ghana had just shared, and I think I would like to based on what we have experiencing or seeing so far, is that at least in the Southeast Asia space, the adoption is I would probably call in the early stages. It's interesting that when we try to do a number of attempts to move some of the transactions into the voice AI or chatbots, we get massive negative feedback on that, and they've always preferred someone or speaking to a live agent. I just feel that there's some part of a cultural component into it, and some getting used to as well. That's why at least in our organization, what we have done is we've not have a desire at this point in time on a replacement model, but assist the transaction so that customer experience will be better.
Fine, thank you. That's of interest. It kind of brings me towards my kind of thought pattern is that obviously when we as call center owners or BPO owners, certainly in certain parts of Asia, I'm thinking India, I'm thinking Pakistan, these kind of countries where accent is very, very strong. But there is a massive kind of fear. There is a massive fear that kind of, chatbots obviously for efficiency, where we also have other parts of the globe that suffer with huge absenteeism and attrition problems. So that's where kind of the chatbots is kind of pushing now towards becoming kind of powerful in certainly the industry. But there is this huge fear about chatbots and AI voice, coming into it. So, we could look at like the resentment, I suppose, from certain countries and call center owners. So let's look at something kind of positive. And my kind of question to the panel is going to be, how is AI and chatbots revamping the call centers for the call center owners? Can I throw that one out to the floor first?
Sure. I'd be happy to talk a little bit about that. First of all, I want to say I appreciated Ganapathy's and Romel's responses to the previous question. Those are, excellent points. A couple of things that I find are really key to address what you just asked, Chris. So first of all, I find that a lot of IVR or chatbot providers, offer a great platform. You can build pretty much anything on these platforms, and it can be wonderful because the technology is great. The issues come where the business itself that's trying to build these solutions actually has an incomplete understanding of their own customers. They don't know their customers well enough or the business problem that they're actually trying to solve. So they end up with this top-down design coming from the business rather than bottom-up coming from the data. And so the first thing that can enable what you're talking about is simply gathering the right kind of data to quantify what's really going on in your call centers. And only then will all of these great platforms that exist be able to provide the value that, all the vendors claim they can. And the second aspect, that how do you enable all this, is voice user interface design is a unique field of design. And so I think it was Romel that was talking about, the user experience. That's really the key to making this all work. Because if you get the voice user interface wrong, or if you're pissing people off who are calling in, they're not going to be happy customers. And so understanding of those, what is the data telling you? What kind of solution are you building in the first place? And then two, how do you make the experience usable for the end user? That's where things like Amazon Alexa and Google Home and all these in-house voice assistants have started to train the public into getting used to these, right? And so people are more forgiving when the systems don't understand. 10, 15 years ago, when your system would make a mistake, that would be like, the end of the conversation. So we're in a good place timing wise to be able to really push voice experience more. And to just train and hire the right types of people with this type of expertise. There's just so few people that can really do a really good job of this right now. So those were just 2 points I wanted to make.
That's very, very valid, James. And I was kind of hoping when I thought of the question that you were going to have that kind of input. So would anybody else care to share any thoughts?
Yeah. Go ahead, Kun.
Hi, Robin.
Thanks. So because I heard very important words from James, which we call the happy customers. It's very true that when we have call centers, we pay a lot of attention about whether or not our customers would be happy. So by using AI, you really got the capability to scale, not in the pure number of customers you can serve, but also the certain level of very consistent performance you can provide. So unlike, training your new agents, for example, when you have a certain level of performance coming out of your robot, let's say AI robot, then you can keep that level of performance always. And when you make certain improvement, you always get improvement in the long run. So this is the kind of scalability capability, what I call, we can use AI to achieve for those call centers.
Yeah, and to add to that, yeah, so exactly. And how do you do that? Well, you need to know what your top performing call center agents are actually doing. And so you can provide your best agent on every single conversation by tuning your AI according to the top performing agents in your call center and the experiences that they're providing. So I love to hear that type of, that's wonderful.
Rommel, you wanted to contribute, so can we hear from you?
Yeah, right now there are two focus of our organization when it comes to when we speak of AI in particular. The word intelligence is what we use here in our organization. So the first one is about helping humans, not replacing them. So that's the first thing that what we're doing. And there are three things that we're leveraging AI at the moment after having that experience at the onset of putting in upfront the AI solution to the end users, and to rightfully so, that was indeed the realization that James pointed out. What is it that the customers are really looking for? So what we have done is we've taken a step back and redesigned the approach. So number one is we started using AI to assist the agent, more like giving the best possible solution based on the interaction of the call. The second point is where the manager is able to detect whether the particular interaction is impacting customer experience or is not doing really well, so that the supervisor can already step in. The second one is the voice bot gets the calls first, so that they understand and filter exactly what the caller need, so that we're able to assign it to the best agent who can service the requirement. So that's where we are at the moment. And so far, what we have seen is that we've always been compared with other geographies, 10 other providers, and for programs that we have advanced application of this one, we've been doing really, really well. We've always ranked at the top tier from a performance standpoint.
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting, your last point about the performance of certain elements of countries. And I think I don't know who comes up with all this statistics, but I know from 30 years in the industry, I kind of still I still use India. I still use obviously the Philippines. I use South America. In fact, I use everywhere across the world, because everybody has their your uniqueness, and I guess as technology moves us forward, it's going to combine a lot of the uniqueness across the globe, to come up with the perfect solution. and then it doesn't matter where it's based, does it? Okay. Garner, I don't know if you wanted to add a few points at that point, or if we need to kind of move on to some of the questions that have been asked from the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just to add to what the panelists mentioned here, I think while we are running with the challenges in terms of, I think, how to train the bots, there are, I think, unique advantages that we see, I think, in terms of, I think, using AI, voice bots or a chatbots, in a call center environment. Some of the unique things, I think, that I can take, for discussions today, I think, are the multilingual capability of bots. I don't think, that's, kind of, a challenge. It's sort of, I think, all the AI engines that we see, particularly the democratized, engines, we see a multilingual capability, I think, and almost like all the global languages are, I think, available. Plus, I think the other important or the interesting component, I think, is the data security, piece. Where I think, as far as data security is concerned, I think having a bot is going to be, probably much more, easier for us to, I think, take care of.
Yeah, as you say, it's going to be much more compliant. Okay, we got a couple of questions that we can move on to. I've got a question here asked by Sejo Matthews. Maybe we might need to develop more about what your question is all about. But the question that's stated here is: could speech recognition software be developed at DP? I'm not kind of sure where we go with that.
Yeah, he repeated the question down below, and he filled it out. I'm still not quite sure what he's asking, but it's at the very bottom of the question list now.
Yeah, I've got it. Okay. Could speech recognition software be developed that doesn't convert sound into waveforms? If not, does it say about the synoptics of knowledge?
Yeah, actually, I kind of understand what this question is really about, because in our R&D team, we also discuss very similar things. So, given current level of understanding of human beings about sound or human voice, we tend to convert these sounds of voice into waveforms. But is this the best way to process sounds of voice? Nobody knows for sure right now. And you just think about it. The way, as a human being, for example, we have a meeting and we have 5 people here, and even if everybody is talking to each other in some way, when I want to listen to, for example, Romo speaking to me, I can just keep other noises out of my head. This is the capability of human brain, or human's own way of processing those noise or processing those effective voice. But this is not the case for computers. So right now, if you take the state-of-the-art speech recognition system and you send into it some very noisy audio clips, let's say, then chances are that it will not work very well unless you do some very special process for it. So this question is a very, very important one, but I don't think we have any definite answer for now. So given everything we have right now, we just convert the sound into waveforms. That's what we are doing.
Okay. So anybody else would like to contribute? James?
I honestly, I apologize. I'm not 100% sure the second part of the question, what this means. But there has been some research, and there are some vendors out there that now provide speech to meaning instead of speech to text, which I don't know if this, I believe the intermediate step is still converting it to waveforms, though. I'm not really sure. But just something to keep in mind is, the human ear is designed in a very special way to attune to the frequencies of human speech. And so we have a very powerful filter. It's just built in. And so speech recognition technology using computers is trying to mimic that. And that's sort of where we're at right now. So that may change in the future. I don't really know. But it's pretty darn good. As long as you, again, have access to the right data. And if you're training for a noisy environment, then your speech recognition will be pretty good in a noisy environment. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Great, thank you. Sejo Matthews, if the panel's actually answered what you desired to know, then great. But if there's any more that you want them to kind of expand on, please write in again. Okay, let's come to a question by Abhishek Kumar, actually. It says, what are some latest state-of-the-art solutions to collect feedbacks from people in order to measure the true success of chatbots and voice AI in supporting the end customer and making their life easier? Good question. Who would like to start me off on that?
So let me, I don't know if this, to me, I'll probably look at it from a sort of, and this might sound a little bit more business-like. But the first thing is whether the first call resolution. That's always been the ultimate measurement that I personally believe in. If the customer issue is resolved at the shortest possible time, that's where you get really very very high NPS scores, and that's always been our journey. And with the integration of some of these digitally assisted solution, we're able to lower down the transaction time by about 16 to 25%. And at the same time, we're able to reduce the footprint of the client's call center size, contact center size, because some of it now are done through the technology. And in some way we've able to provide that sort of an ROI to them by having a smaller footprint. To Chris' point earlier on, it helps also in managing probably a good size of a team, that you're able to minimize risk of attrition or shrinkage. If it's still in a probably a massive scale.
No, thanks. Thank you for that. Okay, I have a question that I just want to put this out to the panel. It's a kind of generalization, and I'm hoping it's going to kind of spark a little bit of controversy as well. My question is, how does the panel define AI, and how does it define automation, and what is the key difference? Who's going to start me off on this one?
Yeah, this is a really good question. So, of course, AI, like so many other technologies nowadays, is sort of about automate something, but we never, want to, use AI to, for example, to replace. I also saw this concern and question in the Q&A to replace human beings, and instead, we will use AI to help human beings to do something in a better way. And what really happens in the case of our clients, for example, they use AI voice robots to help them with a very strong capability to scale. For call centers, it's very difficult to scale after you reach a certain team size, for example, because of the office space, hiring difficulty, and also turnover rate, training and management cost. So when our clients need to expand their business and thus in demand of a larger customer service capacity, then AI can virtually help them immediately. And this really gives some, very important competition edge in growing their business. Another thing about AI is what I call AI and human coexistence. We use AI voice robots to address very lousy, repetitive, and onerous part of the job for agents, so they can focus more on serving good customers in a better way. So in the end, you have not only happier, well-trained, loyal employees, but also happier customers. That's my way of thinking AI in terms of automation.
Thank you, Kun. Rommel, you wanted to. Oh, sorry, Garmick. Do you want to go?
Yep, I think as far as AI is concerned, I think it opens up opportunities, with a kind of new type of customer experience, which goes far beyond the automated IVR or probably some of the information search capabilities. So when it enables conversational experience, I think it's probably going to help business proactively engage with the customers, and I think it guides through their journey. And I think from a AI perspective, I think customer journey and customer journey mapping is what I think is what I see as a key benefit. I think compared to automation, where I think generally automate mundane tasks or repetitive tasks. So AI, I think probably brings a smile on face of not just your customers, but I think on your employees as well.
Okay, superb. Rommel, you tried to go earlier. I don't know if you still wish to kind of comment on this point.
No, I think we have a similar, comment as Kun. So I think the way we define AI right now is, the ones that directly assist, our agents. Anything that speaks of, reporting or, transcribing is what we describe automation.
Yeah. Okay, we have another question.
Sorry, I'd have to ask my last point to this question. For AI, it's even possible to use it to train your newly onboard agents. So this kind of automation can really help.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. That was kind of my initial thoughts, when I brought the question up. Okay, we have a really very good question, and I know this is going to sit kind of nicely with you, Kun. It's from a Jose Matthew. It says, "Are there tools or AI models out there that are able to recognize calls that are in a fraudulent nature?"
Yes, of course. So this is a very typical paradigm of using AI, or what I call machine learning, to classify something at when especially you have two sets of different things. So the first set is very legitimate and good calls, and second one is spam calls or fraudulent calls. Then the most important thing is you have sample data for these two sets of different calls. So let's say you have 1 million of different samples of good calls and 1 million different sets of fraudulent calls, and then we can use different models to train. And then hopefully, for example, you use some very simple linear model and you get very good result, and that's okay. If it's more complicated, then you use something like deep learning, and if it's okay, then you can tell the good calls from bad ones. But the bigger question here is, how can you, for example, when you pick up the phone call, and it can immediately tell you that this is a good call or not? And this is something that the industry is, trying very hard to address.
Okay, I'm now going to come to some of the questions that our panel have put out there to share with other panelists on what their thoughts are. So just come in sort of randomly, and I think this is a good one, because we've talked about processes and ideas, but one thing we haven't mentioned, which is always kind of the final point, and that is kind of money and costs. So let's come to a question raised by Ghana. Actually, it's basically how leveraging AI chatbots and RPA solutions can deliver an improved customer service experience and reduce cost. Ghana, do you want to kind of expand on what your thoughts were behind that?
Sorry, I was on mute. So thanks, Chris. I think, typically, I think when you take a voice interaction, it can probably, cost as much as $15 per hour. And I think, and if we actually have to look at a multitasking chat agent, the cost probably can come down to probably, $5 or $6 per interaction. So within probably an AI-powered solution, costs are going to be, drastically, go down to, probably 20-25 cents per interaction, and with the added advantage, I think probably of having over 30 plus global languages, available to the end customer, and hence I think a delight to the customer, in terms of I think how flexible the systems are going to be. So I think from a cost perspective, I think we see AI powered solutions give us key different be the part of, I think, our solutions actually have always been a key differentiators for us.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any viewpoint on that? James.
Sure. So, I mean, just like any other business, it comes down to the business case and doing the ROI modeling. You're not going to put a voice bot into a company that's only getting 200 calls a day, because it's just going to simply cost more to stand up the system than it is to pay agents to take those calls. But there's that, that sweet spot, that line where things start to make sense for you. And then it's also a matter of how much are you going to try to bite off of that opportunity pie, because there's going to be diminishing returns for all of the sort of long tail use cases that you want to try to handle. But there's tools and ways to scale on those types of things as well. But yeah, I mean, from my perspective, that's basically what it comes down to.
Thank you, James. Okay, another question from another member of the panelists. This is from Rommel, and this is a great question because it says, in programs where you have AI solutions and chatbots, what is the impact to customer service or the CX? Great question.
Yeah, I think the most important impact is you gonna have the very consistent and satisfying level of user experience. So you can have a lot of internal tests before you want to roll out such robot to your real end customers, and you can make sure everything is going to be okay. So you can save a lot of money for your quality assurance team, let's say, and you don't have to worry every day about whether your customer will file some complaints to some authorities in the case of financial industry, right? And then you can always try to improve using not only AI but your better agent team. So this is what's in my mind about providing a better CX user experience or customer satisfaction to your end customers.
Okay,
yeah,
fantastic.
You can always follow the best practice. Yep, you can always follow the best practices of your call center consistently and 100% accurately. However, I will mention that it still comes down to getting the voice UI correct in the first place, because you can still have great tech and great sort of business design and workflow design. But if you're not getting things like, how long do you wait for the system before it times out when it's listening? How long do you let the caller speak before you cut them off? How do you handle errors when the system doesn't understand correctly? And all of those fine details around the user experience, then you're still going to get really bad customer feedback. So again, I feel like I'm stressing this over and over again, but the UX part is extremely important to making sure that you can satisfy your customers.
Yeah, I also shared this with James before. We made a lot of experiment and tests about a very single important value, which is after the customer pick up the phone call, how much time the robot have to wait before speaking the first word.
Yeah. Yeah, small, fine details like that can radically alter the user experience. So it's really cool to hear that you're doing these experiments, Kun.
Yeah, superb. Ghana.
Yeah, I think any automated response and voice assistance can deliver a number of benefits. I think it can. I think probably look at delivering the required info with empathy and personalization. While I think listening to the request for further information, and also I think probably. Other unrelated questions, which the caller would have, and that's I think all related to bringing customer experience and I think customer delight factor into consideration. Having also would an AI based solution also can actually help us answer any follow on questions. It can quickly transfer the call to the next available, I think probably human agent, that creating any wait time. Again, a component of, I think, providing better experience to the end customer. So So I think, and the other most important part, I think, is the sentiment analysis, which is easily, available from the data that the bot can collect from the conversations.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Thanks, Garner. Okay, we have another question from a member of the audience, actually. This is asked by Uday Karan Kumori. I apologize if I didn't pronounce that too well. But it's actually, funny enough, in this kind of day and age, this is our first ever encounter with something related to COVID. So what the person asks is how AI voice response helps call centers during the outbreak of coronavirus.
Yeah, I think I have something to say about this question because, especially in the second half of last year, 2020, there was a lot of COVID going on everywhere in this world. And we saw a great increase in demand for our AI robot in different countries. I mean, the major reason behind such surge in business is that, when you have COVID going on and everybody is supposed to work from home, staying where they are, it's very difficult to manage your call center agent team. So this is when many people try to, adopt AI in their business operations. And after a while, they can have a very stable and well-trained robot to help them to address their business needs in call centers.
Cool. Rommel, I don't know if you want to expand because one of the questions that you kind of raised earlier was about the pandemic and how it accelerated the adoption of technology in call centers. And you were asking, in our experience, how would you rate the adoption of AI and ML in the programs that call center owners are currently running? So I don't know if you want to expand your thoughts on that, please.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Thanks for that, Chris. So, the one of the major things that we've leveraged in terms of what's available right now, not necessarily the AI component, but really looking at moving the infrastructure that you have in here to into our employees' respective homes. We literally moved the operation centrally to thousands of homes, and the way to do it is leverage the adoption of technology. And as I was explaining earlier on, we have leveraged, for example, a number of our bots to help and understand whether a manager need to intervene already from someone who is not on site, but is working from home. Secondly is looking at mainly the productivity component into it, guarding the security, which is very, very important to many of our clients, because you're literally outside of the central data protection infrastructure. So we have to deploy now a number of these security systems, productivity tools, to get that same feel and same level of expectation from our employees when it comes to delivering customer experience.
Yeah. Okay. That really kind of leads me on to the question that probably every member of this panel and every member of the audience is kind of thinking, right? And it's a generic question, a general question, and I'm sure it's one that every person here on the panel is going to have some massive input to, right? And this is can AI or chatbots ever replace a call center agent? Totally? Partially? What's the viewpoint?
To this question has two parts. The first is for some very specific, related to another very important open problem in computer science called. But the broad answer to this question is it's not going to happen because computer anyway, no matter how smart it is, another human being for those very important things that only human beings can have. So this is a more philosophical, question, and I don't think that.
So you're saying no. You're saying no, never. Okay, right. That's interesting. That from a man who's leveraging AI. Great. No, superb. That's a great negative sell, Kun. So, well, Ghana, what's your thoughts?
Probably see that it's not going to be possible in all areas. I think there are areas, and probably where there are repetitive tasks. There where I think I think you are going to see some kind of improvement there, but I think there are definitely going to be areas where I think the AI can't replace a human. Yeah. So it's not going to be in all areas. I think it's going to be I think in some areas that they're going to see AI replace human, but not in all.
No, I agree. Rommel?
I agree on what Kun and Ghana have of the customer engagement touch points that may be valuable when we move them to the AI space. For example, we do still. I mean, 10 years ago, people were saying that voice transaction will go away. We still do that, but with much more. For example, identify, any sort of a suspicious customer, or someone that's probably should have not probably been in the directory list. So all of these are gets processed by our our AI here. So as I've also shared earlier, it's more of assistance rather than replacing. I still don't see any technology that would to Kun's point. It's a philosophical question. I still don't see any technology that would share empathy or would share that level of emotion that human beings can offer in a live interaction.
Brilliant.
Yeah. See, you never watched the film Logan's Run then. But no, interesting. I kind of agree with you, and up until today, I was very adamant that outbound, would never be replaced. But having had a conversation with James and Kun prior to the session, I kind of had my mind now opened completely, and maybe Kun can expand on that in a moment. But I just really want to come to James, who has got probably the most insight into all of this than anybody I've ever spoken to in 30 years.
Thanks. That's now I have to give an answer that lives up to what you just said. But
you do, bro.
On
You
a
do.
serious note, I actually disagree with. I agree with the points people made, but I disagree with the conclusion. I think that in maybe another 30 years, the contact center will either not exist at all, or it will exist in a radically transformed. There's a lot of noise on the line. Is that me or somebody else? I hear buzzing. I think it's you, Chris.
Maybe the time is almost up. So
Oh, that might be it. Okay, I'll hurry then. Basically, I think the biggest benefit of AI in the call center is not automating contacts. I think it's actually to reveal the reasons why people are contacting in the first place and enabling businesses to optimize their operations and, improve their service on that side of things. It'll stop people from calling in altogether. But as things change, as technology changes and people are using, mobile to contact businesses, chat, all these other ways, it's going to become hopefully less and less important to be trying to automate phone calls. There's going to be other ways hopefully there'll be other cool ways of accessing these companies using voice, smart speakers, smart screens, whatever. But yeah, I kind of see it in a totally different way.
I agree with you totally, James. I know I want to come to Kun before we finish, but listen, one of the best cases of introducing AI chatbots into an omni-channel process has been done by Vodafone. And what they've done is, obviously you can imagine the volume of calls or chats that they would receive in their call centers across the world, on a daily basis. Actually maneuvering like what they call low value business, which is kind of sort of 85% of their call volumes. By leveraging more the chatbots and the AI towards the low value, has meant that they can then spend a lot of time on kind of the high value accounts and developing, where the focus should be. So I totally agree with you. Let me come to Kun, because we're about to finish the session, I gather, for you to kind of sum up your thoughts, please.
Yeah, sure. I absolutely agree with you. So for those very repetitive and easy job, low value customers or prospects, you're never sure whether they are your target audience in this regard. Then we can use robot to do what we call first touch, and then we can filter out those uninterested ones, and we leave the better quality prospects for human agents, maybe the better ones to handle. And this human AI combination can allow you to handle more products with lower cost in a shorter period of time. Yeah, and that's my thoughts on this.
Thank you, guys. I think that about sums everything up. I really want to thank you all for your input. It's been fantastic meeting you all and hearing from you all. And I'd like to thank the audience also for their level of questions. Great session. Really enjoyed it. Thanks very much for your time.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. This was a wonderful discussion with many takeaways for our audience. To reach our speaker, you can find them in the networking area or VIP booth area. Up next, we have a very special show. It's not going to be a panel. It's not going to be a presentation. This is going to be a humanoid robot show. Get ready to be amazed on what social robots can do today. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after a short break.